Oh, I forgot to turn that on. It's like I never done this shit before. Every show, I'm just screwing up.
I mean, you have a week reset, mental.
Yeah,
reset.
you think that like in that week you'd be like, okay, you remember what you did last week?
Yeah,
you did all this shit.
Well, I mean, it's also you doing everything.
No, well, it's not that hard. It's like click a button. But
are you gonna share it on your page?
It is. It should be live every day. It should be live on YouTube, Facebook.
All right,
Facebook again. I'm still waiting for Instagram to get their shit together so we can go live there. Yeah. But no support right now. We got 3 on here. All right, let's run the intro. And I always just put the intro in here on the live. That way I don't have to do a post. So it's any easier that way. Yeah. Here we go.
Warning. If you're faint of heart or easily offended, this show is not for you.
I don't give a damn about what you saying, bitch, you in the way. Closed case, my nigga beat the charges like yesterday. In your face, I'ma go hard and make sure you see the cake. Keep the pace, ain't no one fucking with me, this not a race. Doing the shit that I want, I'm never gonna stop, I'm never gonna give in. Making my way to the top, I told you to ride, I told you to get in. Now you can't eat out my pot, it's filled to the top, and I'm about to dig in. You say I was doing you wrong.
Welcome to the Go Rogue Podcast. Roger Stout.
Oh, Rogue.
We have Hans Berkos this evening and our guest, James Abba.
What up?
Good evening,
gentlemen. Jim. He goes by Jim.
But, you know, that's the official name.
Is that what I put on there? Yeah.
No, I don't know. Did you? Yeah, you did.
That's right. Let me get up here with the comments. There's Dima in there.
Oh.
Dima. And
Sleepy Malone?
Who?
Sleepy Malone, yeah.
Malone. Yeah, Hannah was telling me it took you guys like 24 hours to get home or something because you're pulling it from Texas.
Yeah. So we pulled over in Arkansas because Quincy was swerving. Josh was like, "Hey, Quincy's swerving in the back." He was driving by himself, so we pulled over to a gasoline station. Dima was like, "Hey, you should take a nap for like 30 minutes and we hit the road." Dude, we slept for like 7 hours in the gasoline station.
Oh Lord!
Was it a Buc-ee's? Was it Buc-ee's?
No, it was. I don't even know what it was. It was in a. It looked like it was the only building in that whole, area.
Oh, area. That's crazy.
I can understand if it was a Buc-ee's. You go in there and get a food coma.
That's right. Hey, that's not a bad place to sleep. I mean, if your hotel's not ready, Buc-ee's ain't bad. Could be worse.
Yeah.
All right. We had that other, other guy.
Good.
So far, so good.
Okay. I'm not even using my Wi-Fi. I'm just using my
on cell. Yeah.
Yeah, my cell because my internet sucks, dude.
Nothing. Dima said was in the middle of nowhere and nothing else around for 100 miles.
He was outside this town called Pocahontas or something like that.
Pocahontas?
Yeah.
That's crazy. All right. So when we talked to Hannah last time, of course, talking to her makes me think of questions for you. And, she talked about when you guys first got into American Bullies. And not as much that they weren't even necessarily the American Bully when you first got into it. They were like bully or pit bulls.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Now, when did photography fall into that?
Like, I always took pictures of dogs. I had a film camera back then and always took pictures of dogs, like our dogs. But like as far as getting paid was when we moved to the Midwest from Hawaii, there was a barbecue and I went to the barbecue and I saw the dogs and I'm like, these dogs look really good. I don't see any good pictures of these dogs. So, I got my first DSLR at that time. I think it was a Nikon D50. And I just took pictures, how I usually do and like posted it on the message boards and people just started messaging me, hey, can you take pictures of my yard, blah, 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 how much you charge? Like, I don't know. I don't know how much to charge, nobody was doing it.
Right.
And I would get offered like for a puppy.
Oh,
You know,
geez.
I'll give you a puppy for take a picture of all my dogs. I'm like, no,
Damn.
I'll take a picture of your dogs, but you know, you can keep your puppy. Yeah.
So what? So a D50, which is pretty much an entry level or maybe a consumer grade.
Yeah.
And then was it just like the kit? So it came with like the kit lens.
Yeah. So it was funny because it was the kit lens. I think it was like an 18 to 50. You know, 3 point something. I forgot, but I bought like a zoom lens, which was it was like $100 lens that I saw on the shelf, which was like maybe I'm guessing it was like an 18 to 200 maybe. It was a brand that I've never heard of. I mean, I don't even know what it is, but I used it for a few years, and the pictures came out great. You know, I mean, if you just know the right, you know, exposure and stuff,
Right.
be on focus. You know, I mean, you'll get good pictures. Yeah.
And that, you know, is a thing. And, you know, even when I got started, a lot of the photographers that were kind of teaching me, it was like, here's the thing. The hardware is not as important. Knowing what you're doing is more important because, you know, at the time, you know, I had like the best camera I could buy and the best lens I could buy. And you could give him the crappiest camera and the shittiest little starter lens, and he would go out and take pictures and kick my ass. Right, because he knew the limitations of his hardware. He knew that it was an F4, that there were certain things he wasn't going to be able to do because of that, and he would still, you know, take amazing shots. So it was interesting, but because we all kind of get addicted, you know, like if we see you out there, we're like, what lens does Jim have? You know, that's what I need. That's what obviously.
Yeah, honestly, I always start with entry level stuff.
Right.
I never. Yeah, it's. You know, it's like you see these guys who just got a driver's license and want to get a Ferrari. You know, I always get.
That's an expensive mistake.
Yeah, so it's like you want to learn how to do it. You know, so I've always start with entry level stuff, and I always use my camera till it breaks.
Right.
So I've just these last couple of years that you know I got really excited and just bought a couple of bodies. You know, but before that, for years I always had $100 lens and just shoot. And it's funny because I would go to shows and people would come up to me and say, "Hey, can you set up my camera?" I'm looking at their gear. I'm like, "Holy cow, I don't even know what, you know."
Yeah,
it's like a $5,000 setup, and I got like
some shit here.
$1,200 setup. Yeah, I don't even know how to, you know, how to set up the camera.
Now that when we were in Texas, what lens were you using there? Because it wasn't very long. It didn't seem like it was like a prime lens almost.
Yeah, so I haven't shot a zoom lens in over a year. When I switched to Sony, I just have prime. That's all I use is a fixed 135, and I have so I got a second body like a month ago.
Okay.
A crop sensor. It's like a smaller sensor camera.
Right.
But so I didn't want to keep switching. I know professionals. So since I only have a prime lens, I don't have the telephoto lens that, you know, zoom in and out.
Right.
I have a fixed focal length. So I wanted a second body with a shorter lens, so I don't have to switch lens. So like for like the winning shot where everybody's in that group shot, the last shot of Hangman, I can't shoot that with a zoom lens. Right. I have to shoot all the way in the back, and you know there's going to be like 30 people in front of you.
Right.
So I used I think a 50 for that to get the whole group and part of the banner, you know, just the whole, just frame it that way.
But that all comes from experience, Jim, right?
You know, I've been shooting
what to
that
pull out
same
of the bag
shot for maybe like the last 8 nationals.
Yeah, same shot.
The same shot. Yeah.
Just different people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting when because, recently, you guys know, I kind of hit you up with questions because, I had an older Nikon. It was giving me issues with autofocus, was kind of making me nuts, and it was just pissing me off. And then, I've always been Nikon, and I thought about it, and I said, you know what? After more and more homework I did, the more and more I decided it was going to be Sony this time. And I really thought I was going to buy the 7200 2.8, like as the lens I always use.
Yeah.
And I always had 2 lenses. I kept a 17 to 50 and then the 17 to 200. And that was like my 2 primary zoom lenses. And then I ran across that Tamron, which has actually been out for a little while, but this is 35 to 150. And I purchased it, and it's about the same price as the 7200. It may be just a little bit cheaper. And I have been extremely pleased with that. And that is like an all-for-one lens. Like I can do everything. It's, with the full frame, it's only 150. But, if you put it in crop sensor mode, it'll push it out to about 212. So it kind of gets you right in that 70 to 200 range, but it lets you go clear out to 35. So I've been pretty happy with it, but I don't know if that, people ask me, what kind of lens should I buy? And I'm like, that's a pretty good lens because it's across the board, right? But they don't learn to appreciate why it's a good lens, right? Yeah. If you start with like a 3.557 or 3.5 f7 on the long end zoom lens, you learn what those limitations are, then you'll better appreciate those lenses that are 2.8 on the long end. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of people just rush in and want to buy the craziest shit they can buy, thinking that that'll help take better photos. And that's not really what it is. It's more really just composition. I look at a lot of your shots and it's just amazing composition. And it's like, you could almost take the dog out of it and it would still be an interesting photo. It's like, it's more like almost like a landscape photo that just happens to have a dog in it. You know what I mean? It's an amazing shot with a dog in it. So
that's what when I'm composing a shot, there's just so much going on. I'm just thinking of how I want the dog to look. Okay, just how the dog, and I want the background. I want to frame it to the shot I want, and I'm also thinking of post process. How am I going to edit this stuff? Like, with the framing. So it's all of that going one, trying to get that one shot. Yeah. You're not just thinking of that wow dog. I'm actually thinking of everything, even up to
like 10 steps past this click.
Yeah. It's like I don't want to take a picture where like I would have to edit so much.
Right.
It's like take the person. I was like, as far as I'm like, if you're handling the dog, can you please move out of the frame as much as you can? Because if your silhouette is on the dog, I can't even touch that.
Right. That's doing good. It just takes too much work in post, to just try to clean that up. And I think that's probably a lesson. Number one, a lot of people don't see light. They just don't. Like you'll see them, they'll take a photo and they're like, this is a good photo. And I'm like, you really can't see, like, A, your highlights are completely blown out, or B, you took the shot at 4:30 and the dog's not facing the sun. So half of his body is hard shaded. You know what I mean? And for me now, it's like that. You look at it and you see that and you're like, if I take this photo, that's another 15 minutes in post to try to bring all this back out. Mm-hmm. And then do you shoot in RAW or you shoot JPEG?
Right now I shoot JPEG. I used to shoot RAW when it was for a magazine,
right?
Or some editorial stuff or some big like account. But like for just regular photos, I just shoot JPEG right now, but it's the highest resolution I can.
Okay. I think for a lot of people, maybe starting new, even though JPEG's or RAW is huge, I think it will help people that are very new that make those critical mistakes, like they let their highlights get blown out. If they learn how to use those tools in RAW to be able to bring those highlights back, you can kind of save them, So I think it's beneficial. But someone like you've been shooting a long time, you actually are able to see the shot before you make it. You see you're going to have highlight problems. Then maybe that RAW file isn't that necessary. Plus, they're huge, compared to a JPEG file. They're huge. So unless it benefits you greatly to shoot RAW, then maybe not. But I can see in your case why you wouldn't. Let me see what for the aspiring photographers out there, any simple basic pointers like best time of day, small things.
An hour, it's basically before sunrise or before sunset. Right after sunrise or right before sunset.
The golden hour,
yeah, it would be like the best time to shoot.
Now, are you like, what's your preference as far as like cloudy days go? Are you Like if it's I kind of look at the map and I kind of look for like times when it's kind of cloudy.
Yeah.
Just because that the cloud is a nice natural diffuser,
Yeah, I kind of like overcast, honestly. I like overcast shots, and especially out. I noticed like if I travel to like say Florida or somewhere more south like California, ambient light is so much better than up here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
out here, ambient light in the Midwest sucks, man. Like especially summertime, everything's green and yellow.
Yeah.
And it's just so strong, and I hate it.
Yeah. Yeah, when this time of year, I think you're in the same situation where we are in West Virginia. The sun never really rises. It kind of comes up on the left,
like that,
goes across the left side of the sky, right? So you're not having that high noon, sun right.
So I can actually meet clients at like 10 or 11, so it doesn't go all the way up.
Yeah,
it just goes kind of like that. So.
Because that really is the killer, is that sun dead above your head at 12 o'clock is, the one that's going to drive you crazy trying to get shadows out. Let's see. What did he say? Oh, I don't even know what that was.
So, I mean, would you recommend these new people not to buy? Just don't go out there and buy the most expensive camera and lens.
Yeah, there's a new camera body that comes out almost every other month.
Yeah.
You just can't keep up with
like cell phones.
Out. Yeah. But I mean, just try something good enough, not too expensive, kind of entry level stuff, and just keep shooting. This is why I keep taking pictures. Like
I mean, I'm sure there's some people out there like me. You can give me a fucking NASA telescope and I'm still get blurry images of the moon. So
just
don't run out there and spend thousands of dollars.
Just offhand, can you think of a model that you might recommend? I know you're using Sony's now, so is there like a entry level mirrorless or whatever you recommend?
Like for a Sony, maybe a 6700.
Okay.
Yeah, it just came out like maybe a couple months ago, and it's really good. It almost has every feature as like a full frame camera, but it's just a smaller camera.
Yeah, and that's the A6700, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do this. You're
gonna see me nod a lot. I'm absorbing, but I have no idea what the fuck he was talking about.
Yeah,
this is the A. It's not my wheelhouse. I just appreciate the final product.
Yeah,
A67.
I
respect the craft greatly.
And get a good lens. Get a good fast lens. Maybe like a 1.8, an 85 1.8, which is maybe like 500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is like a
set here.
$1,300 body. This seems like a smaller body too.
Yeah.
And this is a kit, so it comes with a bag and a.
I wouldn't get with a kit lens. I mean, I would get a prime lens.
Yeah. So like a 50 millimeter.
Yeah, 50 or an 85.
Let's just see what we get here. 50 millimeter E mount. Actually, the Sony FE 50 millimeter 1.8 is only $198.
And that's mid grade. That $1,300 or $1,400 camera.
Yeah,
that's an entry level camera. Yeah.
Holy! This actually, believe it or not, even though this is super cheap, this is a badass lens.
Yeah.
Like that is a badass. It's a 50 millimeter lens. It's 1.8. Like that's a pretty good. Almost. What do you when you shoot video? You do 35 or 50 millimeter?
I do 50 or an 85. Yeah.
Okay. So this is another one. It could dual purpose. You could actually use this to shoot video with, and it's not got a lot of reach. So you're not going to be able to like go to the dog show and shoot dogs in the ring. But but it's a good. If you get somewhere around 80, it's funny because we have these like 200 millimeter lenses, right? And 99% of the time I kind of look and I'm somewhere in like the 70 to 80 range. I don't know if anybody makes an 80. Probably 70.
Now see everyone watching, that's mid grade. So you got to understand how many cameras these people have gone through and upgraded, thousands of dollars more than what was just shown.
That's okay.
So
Yeah.
don't complain about their prices.
Yes, there's the Sony. This is actually a 28 to 70. It's up there though, $689. But the Sony, like, there's a 24 to 70 Sony, and that's 2,200. So, but yeah, you just have to get an E-mount lens, and I do agree. Like, don't cheap out on the glass.
Yeah.
Right. That's the
I
one
mean,
thing.
you don't have to buy the most expensive lens, but
Right.
at the same time, just get a good one.
Yeah, just get something decent.
Yeah.
And there's 1,000 reviews out there, people that have been using them, and like you'll be able to find the information if you look. It's out there. Anyone using a Galaxy S23 Ultra to take dog pictures? Not us.
What is it, cell phone?
I think so. No. Vanessa said she's still working on learning how to turn them on.
You'll get there, Vanessa. I don't even look at the camera.
Well, that was
You-
a hard thing for me to get used to, was not using the eyepiece anymore, because with a mirrorless camera, you can just technically look at the screen. And I see a lot of people that do that, but like, that's just old school. I'm just putting it up to my face. It's just what I've always done. Yeah. I don't like, the only time I'm using the screen, I'll flip it out if I'm got the camera real low and I just don't want to sit on the ground or something. But the appreciation, I'll tell you this, of all the dynamics that you say, okay, if you're looking at composition, you've got the camera, you've got the lens. If you have a wild ass dog that just will not hold still, like
Put it on burst.
Oh my god! And no, well, that's the other thing is, like,
I don't know. I'm just
you
making
could-
shit up.
you could pray and spray, right, and just hope that you get one. But it's so frustrating when you get back and you sit down at your computer and you got 60 photos of a dog because you were just kind of spraying and praying that this dog would hold still at one point, and then you never get one.
Still, yeah.
And it's just like, now if they were trying to stack the dog and the dog's just jumping around and doing all this shit, I'm just like, just put the dog away.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to sit here all day and wait for this dog. It's not going to settle down.
It's not magic,
Yeah. Now you do
photography is
have
not
some
magic.
tools. You do, like, you have some noise makers that you, like a Bluetooth speaker and all that stuff.
Yeah,
But
you try to get the dog's attention, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
But with a highly trained dog, if you're doing like a show dog and you have that little squeaker toy Bluetooth thing going on, that's usually just that little tiny tweak. Like you were trying to get the dog to like turn its head or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Or
that's
get
it.
that expression for
Yeah, the ears
get the
perked
ears
up,
up.
like,
Yeah.
what's that? Yeah, and that's too many times. Like when I see that, and I'm like, oh, maybe this could save the shot, and it's not going to. The dog.
No,
Yeah, I witnessed this past weekend.
Yeah.
It don't matter what you bring out to bait or tease or entice a dog, even live chickens. If that dog don't want to stat or put its ears up, it's just gonna melt like a fur puddle.
That's right.
I've seen that.
Yeah, I posted that photo of Dina with that dog laying on the ground. And you just see her hand open to look like she karate chopped at the neck or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Sam went in and got a chicken.
Yes.
And it was, I couldn't let this chicken run
mean-
out of the yard try to get this dog's attention. That dog was not having it.
Yeah.
So that is
It was pretty hilarious.
that's definitely a big challenge on your part. How often do you run it? Because probably most of the time, people you're dealing with are people that like show their dogs, so the dogs are pretty well trained at the very least, right?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the people I shoot are same guys, over and over. Like a lot of the new guys don't know what to expect. Like, it's like I said, it's not magic. You still have to work with your dogs,
Right.
just to get the best pictures. And some dogs are just not a photogenic dog. We all hope all dogs are photogenic. Some dogs look better with cell phone shots.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. There's no, you could try to get the best shot, but it's not. You're not always gonna get the shot that you want. Or some owners just think their dogs are this badass crazy dog that's gonna look like Grim in every picture, but
Oh,
they're not.
trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
I
I want my dog
yeah.
to look like this big name dog. I mean, he's not gonna look like that.
Right.
It's a
We can
dose.
try,
It's
but
it's a reality. It's a wake up. You know,
Exactly.
when
That's
you
what-
like bring your dog out and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get some toy soldier photos, and your dog is very pit bull,
Right.
and you're like, man, he's gonna look like a dinosaur,
Right.
fucking gorilla, and it's
it's
a stick
not,
figure,
Right.
you know. You
Because
get
like
back,
even when I take pictures, I'm still my background's still confirmation. I still like balance and and structure. So I still look for stuff like that. I'm not there's pictures where I see they're all freaky and all just out of bounds, but look crazy. And
Mhm.
I would throw that to the client, but it's not something I would use. And that would be the first picture they post. I'm like, oh
Right.
yeah,
Right.
it's like they look for the crazy wow shot, which I think you could get in your backyard with a cell phone, but
Right.
it's for me. It's like if you're hiring me, I expect you to know my style of shooting.
Right.
Which is really structure based and confirmation and a lot of expression stuff.
Right. Yeah. So you'll get in that situation where they have an unrealistic view of what their dog is, or probably another thing you've probably gone through, which I'm sure you have, is like you'll go out with a session and like every particular pose, you'll probably take 10, 15 shots, and then you'll go to another pose, take 5, 6 shots, whatever. Right.
Yeah.
And then typically, what do you send in the client end of day? Like 5 shots for.
Yeah, I guarantee 5 shots, or I have a smaller package with like 3 shots. I always try to give more
Right.
than why I guarantee. So
Yeah.
it's
At the end of the day, you had a vision for a shot, right? And then you took it, but when you get back to the lab, you're like, I don't really, because at the end of the day, that represents you, right? It is their dog,
Yeah.
yes, but it's your work and it represents you. So you wouldn't
yeah, but I mean, I would expect them. For them to come to me, they should already know my style of shooting.
Mhm.
They should be familiar with. They'll just hire me and say, "Oh, you didn't get the shot I was looking for." But I'm like, that's how I shoot my dog.
But
Right.
to you got the shot they hired you for.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, it's like you're hiring somebody to do a shot, but you
I
should be
mean-
familiar with their work.
Your portfolio is out there, you know.
Yeah, it kind of speaks for itself.
If you're ever curious on who took the picture, you look for the toy soldier
Mhm.
emblem,
Yeah.
And if it's that style that you appreciate, then Jim's more than willing.
Well, one of the things I really like that he does is more lifestyle kind of photos. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you'll see a lot of him, and like he'll shoot Hannah with a dog somewhere, and I really love those lifestyle photos. I feel like that's a better representation of the dog. Number one, if you take a picture of a dog just out in the field, it doesn't tell anybody how big that dog is,
Yeah,
or how big it is, how wide it is, how correct it is. You can't. It's hard to tell, right? The moment you put a human being in that shot with it, then you start to get some scale, right? You kind of get an idea of what the dog looks like because there's a human being right there with it. So that's one of the things I love about those like lifestyle shots is not only do you see the dog interacting with a human being, but it also gives you more of a perspective of what the dog looks like.
Right.
So not for everybody, but it's something Jim does that I do really like.
I used to do a lot of those shots, but a lot lately, everybody just wants. Oh, I just want a picture for my banner, or some
Right.
banner. So
Yep.
they want that one portrait,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I actually show you one because I have it on my desktop. I pulled it off recently, and where am I doing here? I was not ready for this. Hold on. This is one of the first photos I ran across when I was looking for American Bullies, and this was a
Really?
shot. Yeah. Believe it or not, it was like I remember we were looking for American Bullies, and I think we had already got Kimber, but we were looking for another one.
Okay.
And we didn't have an idea who we were going to get it from or anything. and I can't even remember where I was searching. I must have been Googling. I don't know. But I ran across this, and this is obviously Luca Brasi and Hannah. And this is obviously in COVID time sometime.
With a mask, yeah.
Yeah, with the mask on. But this isn't too far from like Fire and Wine. It's like in that area, wasn't it?
Yeah,
There in
it's
Chicago?
side of the train track. The railway,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah,
would
so
walk our
this was-
dogs around that block and just take pictures.
Yeah, and this was such a cool shot, and I was just like, "Well, who the hell is that dog?" I'm like, "That's the dog. That's the dog I want." You know what I mean? And I found out it was Luca, and it wasn't until later, much later, that we had the opportunity to get a dog off of Luca, which ended up being Machiavelli. But just ironically, because that photo just struck me because I took photos just for fun, and but that photo struck me as so well composed, even though it seems like a lot of people will see a photo and they really won't understand why it's even good. They just see a photo and they're like, it's a really good photo, but if you ask them why, they don't really even know. They just know it's good. They don't know about how it's composed or what kind of story it tells, right? And that photo really just tells a story, and I don't know, I just really liked it. So I always have a photo near. Good.
Are you constantly like adjusting your? All right, I'm gonna use two terms that I know: aperture and shutter speed.
I do my shutter speed, but not my aperture. I use concept like maybe a 1.8 aperture. So it's hard with dogs to shoot manual because they're always moving, always changing light. So if it's a studio shot, I would shoot manual. Or if it's a dog that's just so behaved, like Zero or like a Bowser, you could put those dogs on a on top of a house and they'll just stand there and stack. You could just shoot manual and not change. But
Have you taken a picture of a dog on top of a house?
no.
All right.
On top of a rock, yeah.
Yeah, on top of a rock. I actually did take one on top of a building, but that was in Pittsburgh. Let me see what someone said there. Hannah says, "That's my ABD hoodie." I guess it was that Luca shot. Yeah, I just love that photo. And that kind of led. If you'd have never took that shot, I may never be in here right now. Like seriously, that was
really wow.
a motivator when I ran across that. I was like,
so
whoa.
that I think was with I do have like an older Sony camera. My first Sony camera it was a 6700. I love the camera, but the battery life was so bad.
Right.
Maybe like a 30-minute, an hour. So I had that with I think like a 50 lens, and we would just walk around, get Starbucks, and just take those shots around the block. And I love those shots. I love taking those shots just with that little camera and just nothing, nothing like what you always see on Facebook.
Yeah. And the thing with shooting with a prime lens, if you're doing a 50, you can still kind of we'll take compression out of the factor, but you can still get that shot that you could get with a 200 millimeter. You just have to walk closer, right? So it's not like the reason.
But it's not. If you're doing dog portraits with a 50, the closer you get, the more. I don't know. The proportion of the dogs look smaller.
Weird, yeah.
It's not what they're looking for. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they want it to be big.
Yeah. So that's why I like the zoom lens, that compressed shot, shooting from far. You kind of get that nice compressed, and the proportion of the dog looks good.
And the bokeh on those like prime telephotos always look amazing. So always good. Be Rich want to know if anyone's shooting with an A7 III. And I don't know, what is your? You have an A7, but what is it? A7 III?
I have an A7 IV.
A7 IV?
Yeah, that's my main one, and I do have a small one.
They drop so many versions of the A7 like year after year after year, didn't they? So it's not like there's not that much difference between them, really. I don't know if there's a ton of difference between the A7 III and the A7 IV.
The design maybe for the LCD.
Okay, yeah.
It doesn't go to the side, and
Okay. But yeah, I mean, you're a Sony shooter. You've got me shooting Sony now. But that was funny because in Texas, like literally, we walked up to there, and all the photographers there, and I looked down on the bench because at the moment no one's shooting, right? And I looked down on the benches at the park, and it was a Sony fest. Like there was one Canon there, and then every other camera there was an A7, some version of the A7. And I was like,
yeah, we were at the Nationals, and we were all standing trying to get that one shot, and everybody was standing there. And one of the photographers said, I think he had a 7200 and a Canon, and George Bailey was like, yeah, we're all Sony out here. And he just got his Sony like a couple of days before that.
right?
And he was like, yeah, it's okay. We were all Sony out here.
Yeah, so many people, so many. Let me see. There was someone else. Do you prefer auto over manual? Derek Michael wants to know.
I mean, if I could shoot, like I said, manual, if there's not a lot of change in the light and composition, I'll shoot manual.
Right.
But since you're always moving, especially with dogs, I just do an easy, aperture.
Yeah, you use like aperture priority.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you were on, so for instance, if you were using, you're using a prime. So let's say you're using like a 80 millimeter prime 1.8. It's just always at 1.8. So it doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah.
You're just,
Or, that's when a lot of people use 1.8 when it's so bright and get way overexposed.
Yeah. Or get the depth of field of like a quarter,
Yeah. Everything's out of focus. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you see, I've seen some shots like the grass is real sharp, but even the dog's nose, like every part of the dog is blurry. But like that's because the focal point jumped on like part of the dog's chain that was sticking out past, in 1.8, whatever, it starts getting blurry after that. Let me see.
I think Carl has a 1.2 lens.
Yeah.
That is like a dot,
Yeah. Yeah, Carl.
Your focal point is like a dot.
Vincent wanted to know if it was A7R4 or is it just an A7?
An A7 IV. Yeah, an A7
yeah,
IV.
A7 IV. So the difference, that A7R is just the huge resolution version of the A7, right? So like I have an A7R5 and it's like 62 megapixels, but most of them are, what are they, 30 megapixel or something like that? No, most of them, the non-Rs, I believe, are a lower megapixel, but I think they shoot a little faster. Can't remember. I just did the way I always do. More is better. More's got to be better, right? So,
yeah. Less is more.
I'm like it just with anything with cars. If you buy the most expensive one, it's probably going to be nice. You know what I mean? It just buy the most expensive shit, and it'll be all right. Someone had to, I don't know, Jim.
That's funny, Jim.
What is this? Jim.
He doesn't respond to James. You got to call him Jim.
He doesn't respond to anything.
That's true. There's a I wouldn't say it's a well-known secret, but the best way to get a hold of Jim is through somebody else.
That's right. Don't say
a manager.
And I was guilty.
Yes,
I was guilty as everybody. I swear to, I had sent him a friend request on Facebook, and he added me, and I had liked the Toy Soldier page, and even though I'd probably met you twice, and at that time I still didn't know you were the same person. I didn't realize. It took me a minute. Sam was like, "You didn't know that Jim was Toy Soldier?" I was like, "I don't know. I'm new."
Yeah, it always happens. Yeah, it's happened a few times.
Brian says he wants you. He needs you to respond to him.
Oh,
you got to know that,
Brian.
Yeah, You got to know the code, brother. You gotta
Is
know-
it? Yeah. No. I told them that I was looking at dates to go out to where they're at, but
Right.
just the shows kept building up, and I just couldn't find a weekend off.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll try, Brian. I'll try to reach out to you.
And
before
reality of it
season
is,
starts again.
even if you don't show, if you want Jim to take photos of your dogs, show up to a show. He's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody asked, "Are you going to the season opener?"
Yeah, I saw
Yeah,
that.
I'll be there.
Posted. Yeah,
So
even
there
if
you
you
go.
I'm
don't,
always at a show. I say, even if I don't reply to messages, I'm always at a show. So if you want to talk, we could always talk at the show.
right. Yeah, for sure. And that way, when you're already at the show, that's the easiest thing, right? Because you're already scheduling people to be shot there, like showgoers.
Yeah.
So it's easier for other people to be like, hey, we're going to be at the show too. Literally find you at the show and bring your dogs and say, hey, when are you going to shoot? I want to add
Right.
yours. I know you do a lot at like Jacksonville and Florida. I know like that one hotel we stayed at out behind, it seemed like you were back there forever shooting dogs. I was like, good Lord,
Yeah.
back there by the lake.
The little pond, yeah.
Yeah. Don't
Was
trust
it the Sheraton?
I think it was. He had the
I think it
donut.
was the Sheraton, yeah.
I don't know, but I ain't
like
staying
that place.
there
It has
again.
the donut shop.
What?
across the
That was a
street.
great place.
It's a beautiful hotel, but damn, I had to take out a fucking loan.
Yeah,
Too bougie for you, huh?
Yes, yeah, bro. Hey, I'll sleep in the parking lot. Just wake me up when you guys are ready.
Ashton said, don't trust Jim when it comes to pho.
Oh,
Man,
okay.
we didn't like that pho place, man.
No?
It was a pho place in Allentown that said #1 pho. It sucked,
Most things that claim to be number one are not.
Yeah, that was the name
Yeah.
of the place, #1 pho.
Let's
Hey,
see.
Ashton said, for all the new breeders, without Toy Soldier, I wouldn't be as far as I am.
That's right. I don't think anybody could. I mean, if you go to most people's website, I mean, you go to my website, you go to Sam's, you go to anybody's. If you look, you're going to see that toy soldier on a lot of their photos.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just part of doing that, part of being in the breed. You build dogs, you put them in front of this man, you let him get pictures. It's part of promotion. Period.
It is. Find yourself a good photographer. I mean, something that best represents your brand.
There's a lot of
Your
good
hard work.
photographers right
There's a
now.
lot of good
good
photographers.
photos, yeah.
Absolutely.
There is, but I look at some of the newer ones. You can tell, like, I'm not saying some of the newer ones aren't that good because they are, right? But there's a difference when you see years of experience behind the lens. A lot of it is visible when it comes to like exposures and the highlights. Yeah. And composition in the shot, not cutting the telephone pole off or not cutting the street lamp off or making sure there's not a pole coming up out of their head or, just some crazy stuff. So a lot of that stuff when you're new, right, you just want to get the shot of the dog. Like that's the most important thing to you. And then you get it and you're like, boom, I nailed the shot of the dog. But you don't realize like there was a branch and it looks like it's sticking out the dog's ass.
You caught a lot more than you wanted. Yeah.
It's just the little things. And then the more experience you get, the better the result, right? Because you can look beyond your subject. You're not so nervous. You're looking beyond your subject and you're able to see, okay, let me compose this shot in a way that's A, favorable to the dog, or B, doesn't interfere with the photo, lots of times. And then I've seen Jim incorporate stuff like leading lines and a bunch of different photo related, concepts that generally don't fall into taking a photo of a dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does this say here? Facts. That's
Facts. So, Jim, what has been through all the years? What has been one of your most favorite locations?
Locations?
Yeah.
Man.
Or do you, as a professional photographer, do you have like a bucket list of places you want to shoot?
Yeah, but it's places where you don't want to walk bullies that half a mile walk from the parking, it's like
Right.
get there and you're not gonna get a shot of a bully, but like
Yeah,
there's this What's that?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's this place in Vegas that we like shooting. We used to go out there. We go like winter time where it's cool. So when we go to the red, I think it's called Red Rock. It's a nice short hike from the parking area, but the dogs are still nice and cool around that like January time.
Yeah.
And that nice picture of Rocco on the big rock. That was in Vegas. Yeah, that was in Vegas. But that was a scary shot because that was maybe like a 40-foot drop, maybe more. Yeah.
I think that's what I'm looking for right now was looking on yours. You can either go to Jim's page or you can go to Hannah's page and find some amazing photos. But you guys went to, what was it? Was it Canada?
Yeah, that's one nice place to take pictures of. Yeah, that's why I like going to that show. It's a small show, so it always ends up early. So we got time to go up to the mountains. Yeah, take some pictures.
It's usually in the wintertime, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they're doing it around August this year.
Oh,
last time I think last show it was still winter because the lakes were frozen and covered in snow. So we didn't get that nice shot that you see on Instagram.
Right. And those are more, I mean, I guess if there are people there, you can hook them up. But that's a rare opportunity. You kind of work with what is available to you as far as, composing the shot. And this is just one of those instances. I see this photos 100 times, and for some reason I can't find it right now. But you just happen to be in an amazing place with mountains and snow and just making some amazing photos, but that it was there. You know what I mean? It's like tough when you say, "Oh my God, that was an amazing photo. Come to my house in Iowa and take a picture." It's tougher. You're not going to get that kind of composition, because that was just wild. It was crazy. I'm about to give up on it now. Every one of them. Let me see here. I'm gonna look one more minute.
Who are your some of your famous or most favorite iconic dogs that you've shot?
That I've shot?
Or maybe a dog you wish you could have had the opportunity?
Maybe Dex. Some California dogs early, like I never got to take pictures of. I got to see them at the show, but not take pictures of them. King Kamali, I got a picture with him, but he was at a show.
Yeah, because I think your photo collection of dogs is pretty deep, like from way back. You got to shoot some dogs that we've only heard of. We've never got to see.
Yeah,
which is because I can't remember. We were talking about a dog one day, and then someone. I think Sam was like, "Yeah, well, I mean, Jim shot him," and I was like, "Oh, are you freaking kidding me? That's crazy! You got to shoot that dog." But you don't get that much over into the West Coast, I guess, right?
Back then, no.
Right.
I'd go maybe like once every few years to like a big show, and but
now, how does someone get you over to the West Coast, Jim?
At a show.
That really is the easiest way.
Yeah.
I know it sounds terrible.
We show a lot. We really do show a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're always right there. You always bring your camera equipment with you. So, you're always right there, availability. Okay, I'm about to give up on this. I can't believe I can't find. I was looking for that one. It was like, was it in Canada? It was like downtown where it was like a cobble street. Like the houses or buildings are here is a street, and there's like a mountain in the background with the
snow.
That was in Canada.
Yeah.
Didn't you have
the craziest shot? I was like,
who did you have?
That was Kong.
Kong, that's
Kong,
right.
Yeah, she was campaigning Kong at the time, and I found another one, which is pretty awesome. But it almost looks, honestly, the photo is so crazy that it almost looks fake. You know what I mean? And by today's standard, I guess that's an amazing compliment because, with the world of AI, there's no way you could pull that. You know what I mean? It's just like it's so amazing.
That was with a 50 lens.
Was that with the 50?
Yeah, because I couldn't get that shot with the 135, so I had to use the 50 to get the compose it, frame it with the mountains in the back.
Yeah,
and the street and the shops.
Now, how many lenses do you carry with you?
Usually 2, but for portraits I use 1 lens. But if I need to get that wider shot, then I would switch to maybe a 50. I got a 20 like a 2.8. It looks really super wide, so I rarely use it.
Right. So this is one of them.
Almost looks fisheye,
Not the one.
Maybe for
not the one
outdoor
we was
would be good.
talking about. But that was around the same time.
That's a
right?
cool shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's a lake behind her.
Oh,
It's
really?
covered
Oh,
in
this is
snow.
water?
Yeah, that's a lake.
Ah. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But if I wish I could have found that one downtown, because it was just insane when I saw it. I was like, that's what I would expect from Jim.
Yeah, it's the same. It was the same day that
Oh,
we
yeah.
shot that.
I found that on Hannah's.
You guys ever go up to Tahoe when you did the Placerville show?
No, we wanted to. We really wanted to, but we thought they stopped doing that show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were thinking about actually, renting a cabin out there for one.
I mean, it's
if they ever did that
45
show
minutes.
Yeah.
Damn.
I was about to give up, and then I found a version of it.
Uh-oh.
I'm telling you. I love his shot. Like, it's people got to see it. I found one where you put all the trophies, but I think there was another one where the trophies weren't in the shot. Hey, there we go. Oh, that's one of them. Yeah, I think there was another one, though, that wasn't. I could be wrong. Let me see. We'll just bring this one up because this is like one of the ones that I thought was amazing. Yeah, boom. Here we go. All right, so there's that one.
Yeah,
that's
beautiful.
Everything about it is amazing because of the downtown. You can see how dynamic these buildings are, and the sidewalk, the street itself, and amazing, and the mountain in the background.
Yeah. It
was one of those shots where Hannah and Paulina was like, "Hey, we need to get a shot with all the trophies," and we couldn't find an area because we went up to the lake and everything was frozen. So we were looking for food. I think that was right by the parking lot.
Right.
I'm like, just set up just put the trophies right here. So we just take the shot.
And that's funny. When you took that picture of 7 on that rock, and I posted it, and somebody asked, like, how far in the woods do you guys walk to get these shots? And I'm like, that's like 7 feet from the road.
Yeah, from the car.
Right.
Like, literally, if you'd have backed up 5 more feet, you'd have ran into my van. It was parked right beside you. Be Rich. He said, I actually thought that was a fake background when I saw it. And that's the good thing. That's a good thing.
Now, is the season opener one of your favorite venues to shoot in?
Oh, yeah. I love that place. Take pictures of inside. Yeah.
That's got to be
so much character in there.
Dream.
It is, yeah.
That place is outstanding. What? I mean, it used to be something else, right? Like, what was that?
Looks like an industrial warehouse, It's
Some
so
sort.
rustic and just yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. And there's still some old equipment in there.
Yeah.
And
I don't even know what they are.
And if you're fairly new, I'll give you this. If you're fairly new to photography and you can go there and shoot in that building and it will make you better than you are. Right? Because you can't avoid the composition in there. Everything's beautiful. Like you can take a bad shot, don't get me wrong, but there's just like the building is so favorable of taking awesome shots. Let me see here. Nope, I give up on all that. Actually, I thought, okay, here we go. I would love to get
when you guys won nationals, Who took the picture for you
For what?
when you guys won nationals?
Oh my gosh, Hannah won't stop bringing that up. It's like I don't have that gym shot for Zero's win. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we used the Maris picture. I think he was the one who took that picture. But
Yeah, because
I was like, no.
it's very rare that you're actually in a photo. When I was doing the cover for this show, I was like, damn, I can't even find a picture of this guy.
Yeah. Well, I remember when you guys when 0-1 BRC nationals, I'm standing next to you. Hannah's in the ring. They award him best in show, and then you turn to me and you hand me your camera.
The camera, yeah.
And
Hey, I
you're
like
like,
that picture.
and you're like, you thought about the settings. You're like, no, it's set right. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, Jim? You can't give me this amount of responsibility, bro.
Yeah,
like this is
I'll just take the
this is
shot.
a once in a lifetime shot. And oh man, yeah.
But so here's
I
the
said a
thing.
prayer, hit a click,
And then the
and it
worst
turned
thing,
out all right.
worst thing can happen to you is that Jim hands you his camera.
Yeah, it's a lot fucking heavier than you think.
That's a lot of pressure. And then on top of that, you're like, this toy, I need this toy. Look at this.
Yeah,
Because he always
no.
pulls out some shit that you don't have. He's like, check
All
this.
that shit was like, bro, that shit was alien software to me.
Yep.
I just
It's
looked
not-
through the little hole, made
But
sure everybody
really,
was in it, and clicked.
Back in the day, you were probably shooting. Back then, you were probably shooting still on Nikon, right? More than likely shooting like a 70 to 200. Like your setup's a lot smaller these days than it used to be.
But with the cage, it's still
Yeah,
big.
yeah. With the cage, it adds a bit. Let's see. Put that back up. So moving forward, do you think, like right now, you got an A7? You said you have a 6700.
Yeah,
too? Yeah. So you got a 6700, both with prime lenses on them, and you're probably going to be good for the next 5 years, probably on those.
yeah. I
Let's
I usually use my camera till they break, like till they stop working.
Right.
I was at a show one time where when I clicked, you could hear like something crack in there. I just
Right.
it stopped. I think the shutter just gave in.
Oh, okay.
So I had to like find another camera. Somebody was shooting a Nikon. It's like, hey, can I borrow your body for today? So let me use my memory card.
Yeah. Well, and we're with because back then, like if you had a DSLR, that shutter was only rated for so many activations.
Yeah.
But I remember
I really used it till it gave up.
quit.
And I had a camera one time. It was a full frame Nikon. I was doing a photo shoot and I had my hoodie on, and I tried to, I think, put my hoodie on or take it off where the strap came over and my camera dropped.
Oh,
So like the little setting, thing on top where you look at your settings, that whole thing cracked.
Oh
So,
God.
I would shoot without knowing the settings on top for maybe like a couple years.
Right.
Yeah, because I use it till they break. I never sell my gear. I still have all my old cameras. It's in my 100 camera bags,
Because that's
I love
totally-
camera bags.
totally
I love
camera-
camera bags. Yeah. Oh my God.
I've got a couple myself.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. It's not even funny, I still want more.
yeah.
Hannah said something. Don't lie. We're trying to be cool. You were trying to be cool. I'm not sure what you.
Oh, with my hoodie.
Oh, maybe. Nice. So definitely word of advice for people trying to reach out to you is either A, show up at a show that you're going to be at, or
Find out what his Cash App is and send him money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Then
you
he'll
know,
respond.
it's like
You'll get
when
his
somebody puts a
attention.
deposit, I really have to to do the
You
shot.
really
You
have to
know?
respond at that point,
And I would get random deposits on my Cash App with no info.
right?
Oh,
You know, I'm
no.
like, who's this from?
Generous benefactor.
That's right.
Yeah.
We won't bring George gave it away. We're not going to bring it up on the screen.
Yeah, George.
Oh,
He's gonna
shit.
get mad at you.
So, at what point did you become an ABKC judge?
I don't know. It's like maybe
Been a while.
8 years ago. Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
so it's been a while back.
Yeah. We were showing dogs for a while before I even applied to be a judge.
Right.
I think we were, I think we were showing for maybe almost 15 years before I even applied to be a judge.
And that, I mean, that gives you kind of a heads up doing what you do because you know what you're looking for as far as the shot's concerned for photos. But how often do you actually judge? Or I know you've done some.
I used to judge a lot,
Right.
maybe, how many shows? Maybe almost a couple of shows a month for like 2 years. Then when Hannah started showing more, then I, kind of stepped back from judging.
Right.
Take maybe shows that are like farther away from our area.
Now you did an international show recently. What was that?
That was Romania.
Romania. Okay.
Yeah.
that was a Halloween show, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was around that time. The
Okay.
whole Dracula theme show. Yeah.
Nice. You're about faded out there on what happened to you. So you get into judging for a while, which I didn't even know. There's been a couple times that that I've seen you judge, but there for a while I didn't even know because when we first to get to know you guys, you were kind of actively showing Zero.
Yeah.
So it was just that.
When we were showing Zero, I'd probably take like 2 assignments a whole year.
Yeah.
I kind of stepped back a lot. Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
There you go. Now you're back a little bit of a noise, but we can get that out later. Yeah. So you weren't quite as active when Zero was doing his thing, which that makes sense. You were pretty much traveling around everywhere with Hannah doing that. And I was trying to think, before you had dogs before Zero, there was another one before Zero. Was there one she was showing prior to Zero, or was it just other clients' dogs?
Mostly client dogs. I mean, we had our own dogs that we championed out. We started out with like Labradors and Beagles in the Philippines. That's how we got into showing dogs. Then when we moved out, Hannah's from Hawaii, so we moved back to Hawaii, and they didn't have UKC shows. They had AKC shows, so we wanted an Amstaff for an AKC show. So we got a good bred Amstaff dog out there, but then we moved to Chicago. Then we started doing UKC shows because they had a lot of UKC shows in the area. So we championed our pit bull in UKC. Then we, did ABKC when they were starting. So we championed a few dogs, friends' dogs. Had our dogs do, that we would show in ABKC.
There goes one now.
Yeah, that was Tom.
Tom.
You don't know he's under his seat. Yeah.
So it wasn't until you moved to the Midwest, and then you kind of got, represented to the American Bully, which at that time really wasn't necessarily what we know as the American Bully. It was more like bullier pit bulls. Hannah was kind of telling us like ABKC really wasn't even necessarily a thing yet. Like it was a thing, but it was more like just like get-togethers.
Yeah, it was. So, almost every breed, I guess, they want some exaggerated form of whatever breed there is. There's always a group of breeder that wants something more than what the standard calls for.
Right.
So with UKC, there was always the backyard breeders who would always breed bigger dogs. The wow dogs for whatever wow is at that time. Is it you? Is it me?
That's on. He's playing with these
Okay.
things. Shooting.
Yeah, so it's there's always that exaggerated version of whatever. They always want a bigger version of whatever. So
Right.
for you in UKC, there was a lot of people who wanted bigger pit bulls, like 100-pound pit bulls, and they were just starting to do barbecues and just because nobody really saw their dogs. They didn't have internet back then, so they would go to UKC shows just to hang out. They wouldn't show their dogs, but they would go out. But it was a different crowd from the people that were showing dogs, especially the all breed crowd. So,
Right.
I mean, they'd show up. They looked kind of scary for that group, and they called the cops. Yeah, they called the cops on them, saying, looks like they got some gangbangers hanging out in our shows.
Right.
They're not showing. They're not showing. They're just hanging out. I don't know if they're gonna fight or what. I don't know. Whatever reason, they called the cops,
Right.
and they got kicked out. So that's really what pushed those breeders to do, American bullies. It's like, okay, we're not breeding pit bulls anymore, really. Let's just do our own thing.
Right.
We're not welcome at these shows because we're not the same crowd. So that's how the idea was really, came to life. Everybody, for years, people were breeding bigger dogs.
Yeah.
But it was really that separation was because of that show that they got kicked out of. That, let's just do our own thing. We're,
Kind of
there's a lot, there's enough of us to do it. It's like kind of what happened with exotics right now, the separation with American Bully.
Right.
It's the same group of guys, really,
Yeah.
that started. It's like they just wanted an extreme version of the American Bully. And it turned out the exotics. So they just kept pushing, to wherever they are right now.
That's funny because when I was talking to Dave Wilson, he had mentioned, he said, a lot of like the guys that breed more extreme dogs, and then, you have people within the community that kind of attack those people for those extreme dogs. He said, the funny thing is that's exactly what it was back in the day.
Yeah.
We were building a more extreme version of the pit bull, and those people that were in the pit bull community were attacking us and telling we were doing, the wrong thing. So it's like this endless cycle that just happens over and over again.
Oh yeah.
So every time the American Bully gets a little bigger, there's going to be a group of people that were breeding the previous version that hate the new version, and they're going to, always trying to start like this war. So in the time you've been in the breed, like how many like obvious evolutions have you seen of the dog? Like did it just within a couple of years depart like the pit bull look, or was it over, the whole period that you've seen them just slowly progress to get more and more extreme?
Slowly, back then it wasn't about. It was like really biggest, baddest dog. So
Right.
It didn't matter if they were like 24 inches tall or, everybody just, as long as the dog was like 100-something pounds and 25-inch head dog, it was really, I got the biggest dog. It was really, it wasn't, but people started breeding for a smaller dog, smaller, that's where we are right now.
Yeah.
But it was a different style of dog before, but they were big dogs.
Yeah.
They were just a different, look, but I still see dogs that resemble the same dogs, just a good progression,
Yeah.
Not really an evolution. I mean, like I still see like Zero still resembles some dogs from the past,
Right.
But he's just more
of it.
bully version. Yeah.
I don't really think like there's always, it would be so, I mean, I don't know how many years it would be before you could completely like breed out any resemblance whatsoever. You know what I mean? There's a lot of dogs that probably go to shows or, I've got dogs I can take to a pet store and they'll never confuse that dog with a pit bull. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I can take dogs like Kimber, which everyone loves and structurally nice. And she does have extreme features for what she is. I can take her into a pet store and they'll be sure enough. Someone will be like, my uncle's got pit bull too. And I'm just
Your dog looks just like my dog.
like, if you actually had a pit bull here, you'd realize this isn't a pit bull. So I think,
but the bully world it's like a pendulum, just keeps swinging back and forth.
Right.
You get too extreme, and everybody say that's too much, and it goes back to more classic. Keeps swinging back. You kind of want it in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that's where like the zeros are.
Yeah.
Like right in the middle, where it's a lot structure
Yeah.
and mass, meets in the middle. But
Absolutely.
for some reason, it always swings back and forth. Right? Everybody say, "Oh, everybody the 7 is a little too much." That's now you kind of see swinging back.
Right. But we don't make those jumps without
No.
that dog. You have to push it beyond to bring it back a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It seems if you're just breeding the same dog to the same dog to the same dog, you're never going to get any different. Like it takes pushing the limit a little bit and then dialing it back to like bring a new level. Someone asked, how did you come up with the name Toy Soldier? Which I know this answer.
So I think there was a movie when I was a kid that was called Toy Soldier, and that Eminem song too. Toy Soldier. I was looking for some names, and for some reason that name just stuck with me. That Toy Soldier. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
It was like it was like that. It's like for me, it was like the dogs were so loyal to you. They're like soldiers. Just do first before asking, and they're like your toys. It was kind of like that. How it came up with it. Toy Soldier.
Yeah. And that actually also isn't that part of the definition of a dog, how the dog moves when the front and rear legs kind of intersect, that'd be considered toy soldiering?
Like converging the mill?
Yeah. When they're, because like the dog's legs, the front leg and the back leg come together when they're moving. I'm pretty sure that's what that term is, isn't it? I could be wrong. That's what I always thought. Could be no. Finally made it to Alive. Past episodes on Spotify. Throw this one up here. Janice Moore finally made it to Alive. Been catching past episodes on Spotify. Enjoying all the topics and conversations. Great for us newbie readers and dog lovers. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. So that name just stuck. And actually you came up, you got a little logo, which you haven't made hats in a while, have you?
No, it's hard. My vendor who used to do it, it's kind of hard to get a hold of, or kind of rude.
Because you had that
kind of one of those guys. Just don't reach out to him.
Right. But you had the Toy Soldier brand. I know a couple of those hats are still floating around, and Dina ended up with a sticker on her phone case. I was like, "Where the hell did you get that sticker?"
Yeah, I still have some stickers, but the hats I haven't had any new hats for like a few years.
Those are cool. If you can get your hands on one, people, that's a rare.
I don't think you can get your hands on them.
Well,
whoever has them now,
they leave them laying around.
Oh, I'm gonna go hang out with Dima.
Dima had one. George said Dima had one before the scooters.
Yeah. Oh, that's.
He said he said he got it dry cleaned or something like that.
You get it dry cleaned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So let's see. So you've actually, and the whole time that you're seeing the American Bully evolve, you've been taking pictures of them all along. So that gives you a real world perspective of, and that's one of the things I love about sitting around talking dogs with you, because like, it's not even an opinion thing. I'm not at, you have photographic evidence of where these dogs have come from.
Yeah.
And that's what I'd love to see, is like a picture of every national winner from the first nationals to the last, you know what I mean? Just to see how the dog evolved over the years. But yeah, that's that when talking to you and you're like, hey, what would the dogs look like in 2010? What did the dogs look like in 2015? You have pictures of all those dogs during those periods. Now, do you keep all those on like an external drive, or like, how do you organize all that data?
I always have I keep it in folders, so it's easy for me to, by year.
Right.
I used to do it by show, so I have like on my phone, like every show, it's in every folder.
Right.
So it's just easier for me to, like, we were in Canada one time, a few months ago, and I was doing some pictures for some shorty bulls, and this lady said, hey, I used to she said like I went to a show in the U.S. like maybe like 10 years ago. She probably didn't think I was around that long, and she was like, yeah, she was name dropping guys from way back, but I was like, I know those. I was like, I was most likely at that show. So when she said what show it was, I pulled out my phone and scrolled for like maybe a couple minutes and went to my album and found her picture and said, "Is this you?" She was like, "Oh my gosh!" Yeah. How would
That's
she do
awesome.
that? I was like, "Well,
Crazy.
I've been around that long
That's
too."
awesome.
There's been a couple times you pulled up pictures. You'd be like, "Yeah, I got a picture of that dog," and just pull it up. I'm like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
That's crazy to have all that available.
Yeah.
But that's a big struggle for me. I guess probably not so much for you because you're not like probably not spraying and praying as much as I am as far as getting the shots. But it's hard for me to justify keeping every shot I took.
So my workflow is I keep every shot, like every single shot. I always so when I get home, I always transfer it to a hard drive, just and store it. I got a bunch of hard drives, like a lot, just so
Everywhere.
much. Yeah, but now you could get those SSD drives with like 2 terabytes.
Yeah.
I kind of slowly move it all there so it's easier when I travel. But then once I do that, the pictures I work on for the clients or whatever, I save 2 copies. I always save 2 copies. One is the resized like web picture that I sent out to the clients, and I always keep the high resolution one that I keep for myself. I never give that out, but I mean I still give a high resolution picture, but it's not the big size.
Like in the raw file,
Yeah, if you want to print a billboard.
yeah.
But I always save 2 copies of every picture I work on. Is a print copy and the web picture which I send out. But the web picture is big. You could still print it to a poster and still get in a big banner. It's the same.
Yeah, that
Unless
eats up a lot of space.
Yeah. But I got just so much pictures. But like I said, how I organize it is by date. So I always know. And all the pictures I save where I work, I always put if you notice the pictures I send you, it's always RS. Always RS is Roger Stout, then the date I took the picture of, then the file name. So if if I have to look for the picture again, I know who to look at for, under what name, your initial RS, and what date I shot the dog, so I know which folder to go back to.
Nice.
So that's how I organize all my stuff. It's just so if let's say, hey man, I lost the picture you sent me. I was like, okay, I'll think, okay, Hans Berker's HB.
Yeah.
What date? When did we shoot that dog? I'll look for that folder and I could pull up the raw file or the high
Not only
resolution
is
file
he
that I
a
worked on.
photographer, he's got a photographic memory.
That's right.
Who does?
Congratulations, bro. I said, not only are you a photographer, you have a photographic memory. Ain't
I'm
no
bad with names,
way.
though.
Me
Dude, I'm
too.
bad
bro.
with names.
Oh, God.
But I got a
He's
good
like,
memory as
hold
far
on.
as, but names, I'm so bad with names.
It's on the third shelf on the right side, middle, 4 up, bam. Dude, ain't no way, bro. Ain't no way I'll be like, yeah, sorry, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Bro. Sorry.
Sometimes Dina thinks she knows. She'll be like, yeah, it's in the bathroom on the third shelf. I'm like, no, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Oh, you're right. It's in my car. Hannah wants to know, when are you doing prints again?
Maybe I don't know. Soon. I mean, nobody really does prints anymore.
Yeah.
I used to do prints and just give them away at shows like this one right here. So this is what I used to do. Okay, I would go to at the show and just put it all over my table. There's prints like this.
Oh, nice.
These are really nice shots of. This is like Rocco's grandpa. His name's Tetris. This is Lola's dad.
So I'm saying we need to get in that library.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I got some.
The
You
amount
know,
of
this
history.
is Magoo when he was young with Bashar.
Yeah, see the amount of history.
Yeah, this is a nice shot where it's like
That's nice.
in like an old building in his backyard.
And that may be the first time I've ever seen Bashar without a wife beater on.
Yeah,
Well, it was
and
probably still in
he used
Michigan,
to,
right?
and
It's
he was
cold.
bigger too. He was bigger, you know.
I'm just kidding.
When I used to go to his house, like he'd be in his truck eating a big sub or pizza. He was
Right.
just eating a lot. He was like a bigger guy, so I'm like
Yeah.
showing that picture. Yeah, man, these are a lot of pictures, like downtown Chicago.
Yeah.
Nice.
I got Kev. This was like maybe over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
I would print
Send
this
those
and just
out?
give it away at shows, and people would collect them.
No kidding.
Yeah,
That's
it's like
dope, bro.
yeah, but I stopped printing them. I should do it again.
Yeah, you printed them out yourself, like you had your own printer.
I would go to some camera stores that used to do it, but a lot of camera stores stopped. Everybody's doing B&H, and I don't want to know. But
Right.
I like doing that. Just upload it and pick it up after an hour and just look at the stuff in your hand.
Brian wanted to know if you have pictures from the Bullies United show in Canal, Winchester, Ohio, that J Mac and I threw in the early 2000s. You might.
Yeah. I think I have pictures from that show.
So B Rich wants to know, how do you keep photos so clear even when you zoom in?
It's usually a high resolution shot, and you don't. If you do it like Facebook, they compress the shot and you lose resolution for some reason. So like if you upload it on Facebook with your phone and you zoom in, I can't even read the watermark.
Mhm.
You're supposed to see the watermark. So I think Facebook compresses the picture and you lose all the quality of
Yeah, it dumbs
the
it down
picture.
real bad. Real bad.
Yeah.
Somebody said, who is this? George Bailey said, we need to make an OG Bully calendar. That would be kind of cool. You could do that. You could pull that off.
Yeah. I say that every year, George. I'm gonna come up with a calendar. I never do.
Yeah, and I'd take one of those because my current calendar, well, Dina's current calendar is 12 months of dogs taking shits. I don't know what the guys bought it for. So every month is a new dog taking a shit.
That's a weird fetish.
Yeah, I don't know. People are weird like that. I don't know what Hannah said something about Costco.
Yeah, Costco. They used to
print.
do prints too.
Oh, okay. So you just take them there, have them printed out.
Yeah, while we go shopping, just upload it when you walk in and pick it up when you walk out.
Grab
Nice.
yourself a slice of pizza.
Yeah, but they
Chicken
stopped
bake.
doing that. They don't even sell cameras anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Now, do you buy like your camera gear? Do you buy it locally or do you buy online? Like if you use
Oh my god! I try to stay away from camera store because I always end up spending stuff I don't need. I went there
A
to
new
buy
bag, a new camera
I went
bag.
there to buy a little battery charger for my camera, which was like $15. I ended up going, spending like $400 in backpacks, stuff like that. Stuff I don't even really need.
So primarily, do you use I use B&H Photo a lot and not for any other because I don't even think they have the best prices, but it's just like B&H is kind of like B&H and Adorama. It's kind of like the two that I've always went to, but it seems primarily I always use B&H.
Yeah, I do B&H too. I do B&H a lot. I get the gear in like 2 days.
Yeah.
the next
Yeah, I don't
day.
know where
or,
they're located, but yeah, they move pretty
I
fast.
think they're in New York. Yeah.
Are they? Yeah, you're right. Yep, they are. They're in New York. But generally, if there's some kind of new gear come out and you're looking for it, B&H probably going to have it.
Yeah.
Brian said he'd buy 2 of those calendars if you decided to let one loose. There you go. Put that calendar together, the OG calendar.
I mean, you could
We even promote it on here.
I mean, you can do multiple types of calendars. You can do like a recap of the year because, ABKC National is usually early December, right? So by January, you have all the photos from the season.
Yeah. I was thinking about doing that, like a yearbook,
That would be
Yeah.
cool.
No,
like a
that'd be
bully
cool.
yearbook.
Mm-hmm.
George wants to know, what do you think about shooting AKC shows? I see if you did a few. I've seen if you did a few. I've seen you did a few.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I like shooting all three. It's
Now-
easy, it's easier.
I noticed that Nationals, like they gave you guys press passes, right? So
Yeah.
they kind of gave you the ability to get in and take a shot, right? But then they lined all the dogs up on the right side of the, you couldn't get that front shot, like where the dog's stacked and you're like right in front of the dog. Like,
Yeah.
You couldn't get that shot because they had them clear over there on the other side.
On the other side, yeah.
Like they're really the only shot you could get of them, pictures of them side stacked. And then basically when
because the other years they had it the other way.
right.
But I think that's why they did that, because they had that video guy who was doing live on the stand. Yeah.
Right.
I think
they
for him
had
to
the-
get that
yeah.
shot, he had to be they had to line it that way.
Okay. That makes sense.
That's what I'm guessing, yeah.
Right.
Because they always had them line up the other way, on the other side anyway.
Right. And I thought that's crazy. Like, you're not even, you give them a press pass. And like, I went over and snuck in between 2 people and like opened up the curtain and put my phone on the floor and got a shot. And
Unless you're George Bailey, because he's tall.
yeah.
He just like shoots on top of, of everybody.
Yeah.
I'm a short Filipino trying to squeeze in.
So you were sneaking around just wherever you could to try to get a shot.
Yeah.
The dogs.
But I always do that shot. I love that shot.
Right.
Yeah,
Like
like
a
the in
sniper
between
shot.
the legs.
Yeah.
In between the legs, yeah. In between people.
I think it's just lazy. That's why I do that. I don't want to move. I'm like,
It's a very artistic style.
They said something about the press was given the boot. They boot all
they
the
kicked
press
him out of the
people.
ring.
Really?
Yeah.
That's wrong.
Well, that's why we have
press
zoom lenses.
passes,
So.
man?
That's right. Yeah. Exactly. Now, what were you shooting that day? Were you still shooting like the 135?
Yeah.
That was a good
I
run.
only went in the ring, I think, for the besting show.
Okay.
I think most of the time I was out because I was walking around a lot.
Yep. But you had both. I noticed that day you had both bodies with you. So, like you were shooting stuff outside the ring with like the 50 and then 135 when you tried to reach in there close.
Yeah. 135 is my main stuff. Then for the wide, I do the 50.
That's
Can
what
you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
You said that's where James Abba, the sniper, hits him the hardest between the legs. That's funny stuff.
I like the ones where he captures a dog in stride through a person's stride. Like
Yeah.
that was like pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a couple of them you're just like, how the hell did he get that shot?
I think because we kind of know the sequence of what's going on, so you kind of anticipate that shot. It's like that. I don't know what movie. It was a John Woo movie. Might be Mission Impossible, where somebody was dancing in a red dress, and you could see, I think, Tom Cruise pan around, but the focus was on the dancer. It kind of blurred out. I've always wanted that shot. Like focus on the judge, and there's a blurred dog running across the frame.
Yeah.
Right.
Or the other way around,
Yeah.
I always thought that was a cool shot. So I always end up trying to get that shot, while I'm like sitting ringside.
Yeah, just
when
trying to pan
dog, yeah,
in with
yeah.
the dog at a real low shutter speed. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was cool. George want to know, let's see, how do you remember when each dog is going in the ring? Say 10 people book. Do you ringside them shoot? Do you text before they're going in? So most of you people you book though is not necessarily to shoot them in the ring though, right?
Yeah, but for ring shots, I kind of like reach out to the handler before they go.
Okay.
In, so I know which dogs, but
Yeah.
I don't really do that. Right now I only shoot dogs that book and not like always after a show. Hey, did you get a good picture of my dog? It's like I don't know. If you paid a deposit, I probably did, but no. I mean, I just don't. I don't have. I used to do that online gallery. Just upload all the stuff and let people
Yeah, right. Message you.
choose and buy. But this was years ago, and nobody used to buy stuff online. Right now, I heard like everybody buys pictures online now, but I don't have that gallery anymore because I don't do that anymore. I don't just take pictures and upload it all.
Right.
I know it works for the other photographers because the mayor used to do that, and he said he used to get a lot of people buying from, especially nationals, just pictures he upload. But me, I'm just too busy in nationals, just can't just sit down and take pictures the whole day of the ring shots. But
Right.
the booth helping with Hannah, dogs or letting dogs out or.
And I think if someone's like a newer photographer and they're really trying to make a name for themselves, and I guess it kind of makes sense for them to like park their ass right there by the ring and try to get that shot of like the number one dog or the most controversial dog or whatever. That way they can post it on their social media and it'll get some interaction. That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I'd still shoot dogs.
Right.
But, I'm not just, if you reach out to me after the show and ask if I got a good shot of your dog, I don't even know.
Right.
If I did,
Because you're not looking for that dog.
Yeah, I'll try to get good shots, whatever I see one. But.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. You can kind of pick and choose, Yeah.
But like I said, when they give a deposit, I just have, I have to shoot the dog,
Right. That becomes a priority right there.
Yeah.
It is. The one with the deposit.
Yeah.
Carl just dropped in. The Canon guy just dropped in, but he wanted to know what the preferred lens was at the moment.
If I can have a 7200, I would get a 7200. I miss shooting 7200, but right now I shoot all prime.
Right.
135 right now, yeah.
Yeah.
I know George shoots with a 135 too.
Yep. I was actually
an 85.
I was actually looking. I looked at the 7200 just the other night, and I can't justify it right now with that. If that lens I currently have poses some limitation on me, then maybe I can justify it. But
what is it?
The 35 to 150, the 2.0 to 2.8. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Is it that what you have right now?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think it works well.
Yeah, it hasn't let me down. I mean, it's blowing my mind, to be honest with you. I'm pretty happy with that one. But yeah, George just said something about the 135. He shoots that one too. Seriously debating on switching over to Sony.
You know how much Carl spent on his gear? And
Lies.
He's got an 85.
He got a shitload.
Yeah, he's got an 85 1.2 lens. How much is that lens, Roger? 85 1.2.
I don't even know. I have to look it up. Let me see. We're going to give him some shit. We're going to find out.
Or he just tell us himself. I just ruined the fun.
No, because he'll lie. Depends. On B&H is 1200. That's a pretty badass lens.
Too much, he says.
Too much. Oh yeah, if it's the RF, it's 2300.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that thing better capture your soul too.
Look, said shh. Naya's listen.
Yeah,
Well, we were at dinner at Nationals, right? Me and Roger
Yeah.
were talking about cameras, and I was like, I told Roger, shh, Hannah's behind me. She doesn't know I have a new camera. But Hannah was like, "You have a new camera?" I was like, "Yeah, the camera you've been using for the last couple of weeks was a brand new camera."
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, when I think where we at the Ohio show, and Carl pulled out his camera, and I get where, you know, some people when they talk about the Sonys, they're like, well, the Sony didn't feel like very substantial camera, you know, people like refer to it as the toy camera or whatever. And I'm like, you know, when I first got it, like I get it. Like I kind of get it because it is a small body. It's quite a bit smaller than if you're used to using a normal full frame camera. Those bodies are usually pretty substantial, right? And it was the Sony, even when you add the grip, it's still a pretty compact camera. Yeah. Well, like we put it side by side with Carl, so I can't remember what he had. Was it R3 maybe? I can't remember what he has. But when we put them side by side, like that Sony was so much smaller. I couldn't believe how much bigger.
That is one reason I switched to Sony was the size, you know, because traveling, you know, it gets so heavy on your back.
R5
with all the gear and your you know.
Yeah,
so I wanted a smaller body, and that's why I switched to Sony.
R5 ain't no joke. That's a nice camera. If it was a Sony, it'd have been perfect, but you know, whatever. See, now I'm gonna be a Nikon hater because I switched. That's funny.
I still have all my gear.
Yeah.
I still have my film cameras.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be we just should do. Remember, when I first got started, we were in like photography clubs and stuff like that. And every once in a while, one of the challenges is we would go out and all buy a bunch of disposable cameras, you know, because they're fixed aperture, fixed shutter speed, everything. Right. Mm-hmm. And then here's your subject. Here's a disposable camera. Go take a shot. Whoever gets the best version, he gets the best shot. Right. And it's the person that was able to determine what is the focal length and the shutter speed of this disposable camera, and then wait for the perfect time of day to get that shot. You know what I mean? Because literally you could take an amazing photo with a disposable camera as long as you know how to get the timing right for as far as the light and composition goes.
Yeah.
I can't remember, Carl.
Because you have a preview. You have to go get it developed before you even know if you got the shot.
Yeah. And then even farther back than that, guys were using, like, they call them, what is it, a pin camera? It was just like a tiny little, you couldn't see anything. It was just like a tiny little aperture, and there was no viewfinder or anything. So, most memorable shoot. Carl wants to know what your most memorable shoot was. The one that probably I would say 0. Oh no, he didn't shoot that one. He was in it. Sorry, Hannah. No, what was like the most memorable, I guess, opportunity? Like the one the dog you shot that was like the most memorable.
Oh, there's a lot. I like the Vegas shoots that we used to do in the mountains. If I could do shoots like the Canada shoots, you know.
Yeah.
If I like outdoor stuff, hiking and stuff, you know. If like even for 0, like when I get bored, I'd take him for a walk in the forest preserve and try to take pictures for myself. I never post those pictures, you know, but I think they're pretty cool.
This is a good question from George. George throwing some good stuff out there. Do y'all edit in Lightroom only or Lightroom and Photoshop?
I do Photoshop and Lightroom.
Yeah, man. I tell you what, I haven't used. I think probably you influenced me more than anybody to use Lightroom. Maybe you and Jared Poling because he put all those damn filters out. But
like the presets,
like all the Fro packs, and you know, I just like a couple of them I really like. Like every time I apply that on a certain photo, it just looks amazing, and I'm like, oh, this is nice, you know, because then you can do it uniformly. So if you took 10 shots of a dog in the same area, Then Lightroom, you can do that preset and just apply it to 10 photos. You don't have that option in Photoshop. Like you get that one photo dialed in Photoshop, and then you open up another one. You better remember everything you did, to make it look the same, basically.
I've never done that though. I've never tried doing multiple pictures and just do one preset.
Just do one preset on multiples.
Yeah, I know how I've seen people do that where you just click on all the pictures and just do that one preset.
Yeah.
But,
it could be tough. Well, and there's the other thing. You more than likely are taking a photo. It probably doesn't need a lot of post, right? So you take it into Photoshop. It's because you got the camera raw filter, but you don't use that because you shoot JPEG. So you go in, you're doing some tone adjustments, you're removing some slobbers, you're probably cloning out some spots where there's no hair, getting rid of the lead. But other than that, there's probably not a lot of work you need to do, right? So if it doesn't require a lot of work, I mean, what's kind of faster in your area? You think Photoshop or Lightroom when it comes to that? Just your normal...
I mean, for all the extra stuff, like I do Photoshop for all the stuff you just said.
Okay.
For Lightroom, it's basically like color correction and just contrast and picture and colors, basically
tweaking that at the end.
Yeah.
Because I know if you're shooting raw, then you have the raw filter in Photoshop, which it gives you a lot of the options that Lightroom does. But unfortunately, it's still not quite Lightroom, So it depends on how much you want to tweak the photo, right? But yeah, as far as colors and toning, it seems to be Lightroom is definitely better for that.
It's just easier, yeah.
Now, are you like for like your coloring? It seems to me you're more of the natural tone. Like different photographers want like vibrant contrast, but yours are pretty natural. I feel like you focus more on like the clarity of the image you captured as opposed to making it pop. Does that makes sense?
I try to make it as natural as possible, still, but like I said, I hate the ambient light out here in the Midwest, especially like summertime, but if I shoot in California or Arizona, I love the light up there, it's soft.
Right.
The colors are nice and vibrant. Out here, it's just strong, But that's why I have to go in Lightroom and fix all that color, which I hate. But I said, that's why I tried to get the shot that I need with the camera, so I don't have to do a lot of editing or post process.
Right.
Because that's extra stuff. That's all extra stuff,
Exactly. Yeah, George, have you used generative fill yet?
I've tried. Was it the AI stuff, right?
Right, where you can like draw a box and say put a light.
Yeah. I mean, I messed around a couple of times. I mean, I just didn't have, I tried to mess with it a couple of times, but I never really got into it.
I think the most interesting thing is now the remove tool that actually uses generative AI. So if you take that remove tool in Photoshop, it's right by, what was it? The what was the Band-Aid? What tool was that? Heal. So the same group that Heal is in, if you click and hold on it, you'll see the remove tool, and it uses generative AI. So if you got a lead coming up out of the dog's neck, you can literally just click and drag down the lead and let go, and it just uses AI to fill that all in and remove the lead. So you're probably, a lot of people before that, we were using like the the clone tool. Just like click on this point and then trying to fill it in and hope it doesn't screw up.
Yeah. So I'm not very technical when it comes to stuff. I like design and stuff.
Right.
But as far as gear and all this stuff, I'm not very technical. I don't really get into the technical stuff. Like even like if you ask me like specs of my camera, I can't even tell you how many megapixels and all that stuff.
Right.
I like design, but so when I started out with Photoshop, like to take the lead out, I didn't know any of the tools, so I would like get a paintbrush and like really paint over it, Like
Yeah.
it's like I'm painting a picture.
Oh, okay. I see
Yeah,
what you're
like
saying.
it's like if I see a leaf over it, I'll like paint, like kind of really draw a leaf over it
Right.
for years. And of course, it took forever till I figure out, cloning.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this was that tool all these years,
Yeah. Was painting shit instead.
Yeah,
Great.
could have knocked down like freaking weeks of work.
Yeah.
But right now everything's so easy. Like just
Right.
highlight it, and AI is gonna take, do
Yeah.
all the stuff for you.
It's actually got me to the point where I'm like considering some stuff that I used to do back in the day that I just don't do anymore. Like, we used to do composites. So, if I wanted to shoot for an exposure and they were just way too far off, like give you an example, like when I was shooting a car in a parking garage, you know what I mean? And the headlights will all blow out. And then, if I'm exposing for this dark car, then all the lights blow out. Right. So
Yeah.
you would do a composite. You would do one exposure for all the lights, and then you do one exposure for the car, and then you would take that into Photoshop and kind of blend the two of them together. And I thought about that because we were talking about repeating that garage shot and wanting to have the dog and a car in the shot, but the person not there. And I'm like, well, we could just do a composite, take a picture of the car, put the person and the dog in, and then literally just be able to use the eraser tool and erase the person because of the composite, because the other one's behind it. But
Yeah.
it's always
I
got.
actually did it not too long ago. I framed a dog. It was under a parking garage that I kind of wanted the whole, silhouette in the back of the, like a square silhouette of the building.
Right.
And I had to take the handler out, so I had to take two shots of the, just that same spot
Right.
without the dog and the handler.
Right. Yeah, because even if you're there's some backgrounds where the handler's at that it's so complicated.
Yeah.
Trying to like clone it out would take forever. So doing that. That's a good question. Carl wanted to know, do you do the trackpad, a mouse, or a pen?
Mouse.
Yeah, mouse. I switched to a laptop years ago. I haven't had a desktop in years. And even though I have a mouse, I seem to always edit with the trackpad for some reason. Yeah, they do bracketing.
The pen doesn't do like finer editing.
It probably can. Yeah. Yeah, George said something about bracketing, which that's exposure bracketing. Yeah, but we're talking about kind of messing around with, which I guess you probably still could do it, but I don't know. I just want to get in there and mess with bracketing. I'd just go in there and put it in manual mode and just get the two exposures. But yeah, you can do that. Now you're asking me to get in the menu and figure out how shit actually works. That's tough. Let me see here. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, we're pushing the 2-hour mark. I'm going to keep you on here all night, but I appreciate you coming on. Probably could have got into a lot more, and that's why I was telling Dina tonight. I was like, man, we're going to sit down and like I wanted to bring you on for photography to let people like get some questions in about photography, but the reality of it is we could have been on multiple subjects, right? You just been
the evolution of the breed,
exposed to the breed,
judging,
everything. So at some point I may try to reach out to you again and have you come on for another subject if you don't mind.
Yeah, I see Papa Pit just gave me a shout out on the comments, and he was actually at that show where the guys got kicked out.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. So he told me, it's like, hey, if people ask, tell them I was at that show. But let me tell you, if it wasn't for Papa Pit switching over, because he is a show guy, he's one of the guys that switched to the bullies and kind of backed them, which was kind of like, if you're in the show side, you weren't really, that was like a no for you. But he was one of the guys that actually believed in the bully movement and hopped on. So that's what kind of legitimized the movement because of guys like him.
Right.
Who, crossover.
Yeah, it was actually, I interviewed him in the previous podcast, which Papa Pitt, we're definitely having you on this one again for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we talked to him about, that when someone was being a little more critical with him about supporting people that do exotics. And he was like, this is just the same thing all over again. He said back when we had the American Pit Bull and we switched to American Bullies, people were critical of me he said, but I want to help these guys out and get them on the right track. And I can't do that if I'm just staying with the Pit Bull. But if I switch over and help these guys out, I can help get them on the right track. And then he kind of gave that as a reference when he was, now he's more involved with trying to help people that are doing more exotic dogs and just trying to get them on the right track to create a better exotic.
Well,
So,
I wouldn't think it's just a better exotic, but even just overall more a healthier dog,
which is good. We do have a couple more questions. Let me throw these in real quick. B Rich want to know, is there any good editing apps besides Photoshop?
Lightroom. I do. Lightroom's really good.
Yeah.
You could do it on your phone,
Yeah. Now, do you Creative
color
Cloud?
correction and stuff.
Are you a Creative Cloud subscriber, or you just do the single app?
I do, but I just do single app. I mean, it's on there.
Great.
I could do it in multiple devices. Yeah.
And actually, Lightroom on the iPhone is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised.
So, like when I'm at the show, what I would do is I would airdrop. I would work on the picture in my computer and airdrop it to my phone and do Lightroom on my phone and post it. Like at the Nationals for the winning shot.
Right.
Cooper wanted a picture right away, so I took the shot, went to the booth, and just do a couple pictures and send it to my phone.
Nice.
Yeah, and just color correct and post it.
Yeah, this is what people do when they say, "Okay, I'm gonna let you go." They're like, "Oh no, you're not." What about night photography? George wanted to know. That is actually long exposures is one of my addictions, but.
So right now with technology, it's easy to do like strobe shots at night because you could do like height speed like sync now, where it's basically you're almost shooting auto. This is almost shooting auto, and the light's just gonna flash every time you shoot. And before high speed sync, we couldn't shoot past 200, our shutter speed. If you're gonna shoot like over 200, your picture's gonna be half black. You can't catch the light because it's just too fast. So right now with high speed, you could almost do, night shots,
right?
Even at like really high shutter speed, and still get that bokeh at night.
I'd love to do like long exposures. I don't know if you didn't, but like I've done long exposures, like the beach and all that stuff. But you'd have to have a really, really well trained dog to try to pull off a long exposure with like a dog in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, with like a waterfall with all like.
Or you could do that 2 shots.
Yeah, you can do a composite, obviously. But George says HSS is the best for bulls. I don't know if that's a Flash brand.
What is that?
I don't know. HSS. What is that, George? Hannah said she likes your night shots in the middle of the day. High speed sync. Okay. He just abbreviated it. We were all like, "Is that a brand?"
Yeah.
Get that shit. Who is that? Who's
My
that?
bad, George. LOL.
That's crazy. Yep. All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up before anybody thinks any more questions, but definitely we're going to reach out to you again. And
well, I mean, you're so hard to get a hold of now that people.
Hey, man, if you send me that link, if I have to be on there, I'll be on there.
I know how to get a hold of him. Trust me. He showed up tonight, didn't he?
Yeah. I always show up. When I say I will, I always show up.
Yep. All right.
It's like when I take pictures. Right. If you send me the deposit, just text me when you're on the way, and I'll be there.
Right.
You know, because if you're not gonna text me, I'm not gonna show up. Because I don't want to show up, and nobody's gonna show up.
Yeah.
Depend on the client, right? Because a Christian is not going to show up at all, even though he says he will.
The Christian sets up a photo shoot, then he doesn't even show up.
Yeah, that's right. Cody wanted to know, how do you deal with cold weather and lens fogging?
I get lens fogging more when I shoot, when I go to like Florida and stuff, because of the AC. And when you take the camera out, it's warm.
Right.
Yeah, it takes a few minutes for it to clear up.
Yeah. Now you use like a UV filter or anything on the front, just like protect your
Yeah,
lens?
just a regular protector filter.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah.
I usually use I'm trying to remember what it is. I don't think it's UV, but it's something else. But it's just clear, you know. So
ND filter,
yeah, just a regular ND filter. George said we're trying to get it all in. Like this is the one, got him on here. You better ask. Ever thought about shooting medium format? So he's talking about medium format.
I do, but for dogs, it's not. It's like shooting raw.
Right.
It's such a big file, but I would do it for me or some, a well-behaved dog that's trained. Like I could do that shot. I could do a medium format shot, but I don't have a medium format camera.
Right. Yeah, I think the more experienced and the better the dog is, the less, the less requirement on that raw.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just let you know, I'm shooting raw. So,
so I used to do raw and JPEG. You could do that,
right.
Raw JPEG.
Yeah.
But I always end up just putting the raw in storage,
Right. And that's, depending on the camera, but they're still huge files. Like they're huge. And it takes, that's eating up a lot of storage just to keep a file that you may never touch again. And then let's say you just want to keep them for storage sake. Then you're going to have to go use some kind of batch in Photoshop to convert them all to JPEGs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, obviously, if you are well versed as a photographer and you don't make, the slip up that often, that your basic corrections within the JPEG spectrum works for you, then it's a JPEG.
So raw file basically is a file that it takes more information of the picture.
Right.
So it's like, okay, if I screw up my exposure, it's easier to fix.
Right.
Because all the information's still in that file, but it's such a huge file.
Yeah.
That JPEG is basically like a flat picture of what you shot. It's not layers and layers and layers of picture of information, but
like most, yeah. So there's a lot of dynamic range in RAW.
Yeah.
So
it's basically, okay, if I using a raw format, it's basically if the whites are all blown out and I can't even see details because the sun or the white is so in RAW, you could almost pull it back.
Right.
Easier. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got I guess that's a good way to look at it. Like it's essentially like 10 different exposures in one file, and you just kind of tap
it. It's just easier to, if you need to fix something, it's just an easier format.
So that's why you always save a file in RAW.
Appreciate it.
I used to when I used to do for magazines.
Yeah. How are you recovering? Oh, that's a good question. George wants to know how is it recovering shadows in JPEG on the A7 IV?
Shadows. So I do a lot of spot metering when I'm shooting, or the neutral, like not spot, but I do spot when it's indoor, when it's dark. So it's basically whatever you point your camera in the middle, that's where your camera kind of adjusts your exposure to.
Yeah.
So it's like when you point in at a black subject, all the highlights are going to be super bright. So you got to think about stuff like that. If I point it to a lighter color, everything's going to be more neutral. But
yeah, I can't remember on those cameras. Is exposure locked to? Is it locked to the focal point? I can't remember. So, like if you locked in on a subject and then kind of move the subject to the left of the screen, and then took your. Is it still? It's
No,
a,
if you if you do spot, it's only in the middle.
okay, just right where
So
you.
even if you move it, yeah, it changes the
Change the
meter. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So
Yeah,
you could change it.
yeah. You could change it to be with the focal point.
Yeah.
George Bailey said he's only been shooting raw, which I agree. I do too. I mean, one thing I hate about it is, my God, the file size is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I always used to keep a JPEG and RAW of each file, but I don't need to right now.
Yeah.
I don't feel the need to anyway.
But I think it's advisable. You being new, if you don't know any better, and you've got the card space to go ahead and shoot in raw. It just gives you that extra. Okay, this is the shot I really wanted, and I screwed up, and I let the highlights go. And then you can get into Lightroom or something like that and just save that.
So this is okay. Let me just do a quick preview of how I kind of put my albums, right?
Okay.
So I don't know if you guys can see that, but
Yep.
it's by date, and like let's say early 2006 maybe. So you'd have like Haley Berry, and Master P Candle Dogs, like Cindy's Dogs. He's a basketball player, Zach Randolph.
Okay.
He used to go to bully shows. Let's see. So I do it by year, by show, so it's just easy to if I have to look for something.
Nice.
Like this show. This is that's say me and King Kamali. You guys can see that.
Yeah.
This a lot of Remy Line dogs showed up. This is Papa Pitt with Anthony
Right.
apprenticing under him. Anthony's a senior judge now, but he was apprenticing under Ron at this show.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
So I have a lot of pictures. This is Hef, first national champion.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's big. I'm into stuff like that. Like I organize my stuff. Only Anna doesn't get how I do it, but it works
As
for
long
me.
as
So
it makes
whatever
sense
works
to
for
you.
yeah,
Right.
whatever works for you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
pretty
nobody
awesome.
gets to see my iPad, Carl. Yeah. I would bust it out once in a while and show people like albums from way back.
Yeah. Everybody here was just like, I need an iPad. You could literally set up a website and put all those photos on it and charge like $25 bucks. How many times I'm like, I wonder what the dog looked like that won nationals in 2018. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just see.
Yeah, I have it. Like I just go to the date that nationals this day, and like
There you go.
look for pictures.
See?
Yeah.
George said you make me feel like a young buck.
I feel old.
Carl want to know, do you have any film shots? Do you still you digitized any film shots?
No, no. I
No.
wish I did. I don't even. It's in a box somewhere, full of just film shots. I still have rolls of films that I've never even developed.
Damn.
One place I want to take a picture is in Kauai, is the island where Hannah is from, and it's this place right here. I want to take a picture of Zero in this.
Oh wow.
place.
Yeah.
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 Maybe one day I could take Zero there.
That'd be an incredible shot.
The SSD I have right now is 2 terabytes, I think.
2
It's
terabytes.
like, yeah, I just filled up like a couple of my 1 terabyte.
Nice. Now that I just realized I had myself muted.
Yeah.
That photo is a little bit older, right? The one of Hawaii
Yeah,
there.
Hawaii, yeah.
Yeah,
That was maybe 15 years ago.
yeah, because you had the white frame around the photo. Everyone was
Yeah.
doing back in
Yeah,
the
I
day,
used to do white frame around it. Yeah, I would even print it like that. I would
right?
print it with a white frame. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was all the rage back then.
Yeah.
I remember you telling us you had your brother's film camera for a show.
Yeah. That show where the UKC guys, where the guys got kicked out. I had a small 1 megapixel camera,
Mm-hmm.
and for some reason, I don't think I charged the battery, so I had to borrow my brother's um, digital camera. I don't even know. I think it was 1 megapixel too.
Right.
But it was just, I was just shooting pictures before, it wasn't very technical. I always like, if I make the picture smaller, I could take more pictures, but it was, you always shoot the biggest resolution. So,
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. I think the first camera I ever got to get my hands on that was digital was a Nikon D1, which was the first ever Nikon like Pro Series digital camera. And I can't remember. I think it was like 2 megapixel at the time.
yeah.
And it was a badass. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, it's 2 megapixel. That's crazy."
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
all about the megapixel.
yeah. Now,
Yeah.
and it kind of is to some point still too. Some people are
Yeah.
still. I'm guilty of it. I bought the that A7R5 because it was like 60 whatever megapixels. But it gives you a ton of headroom for cropping, if you can't quite, and that's beneficial too. Like my camera lens is limited to 150, and I can't reach out like a 70 to 200. So I can put the camera in crop sensor mode and reach out there a little bit farther. Now my
Yeah.
file size is really knocked down. Like it goes from like 60 some megapixels to like 20, like mid 20s.
Unless you're like printing billboard size pictures,
It'll be fine. Yep.
You don't need it.
Yeah.
Carl wanted to know if you print your own work or you set it out. And I think that was Costco, was it? What was it?
It was Costco, and I forgot there was a camera store out here that used to do it, but they closed down years ago.
Yeah.
That would be cool to go back to Hawaii and
Yeah.
do it up there. Dina's trying to get me to leave the country. She's trying to get me to go somewhere.
You gotta
Well,
get on
we're
a
going to
plane,
Spain.
Rod.
I was like, I don't even have a passport.
I keep checking under my table if there's a dog. And
You hear
Tom-Tom's out here. Yeah, I was like, Tom-Tom.
Tom-Tom.
It's Zero or Tom-Tom.
I think you'd know if Zero is under there.
Yeah, I put a dog bed under my table.
Yeah.
Under my desk, and they usually just go in there.
Appreciate it. Appreciate that a lot, guys.
Thanks, Brian.
Yes, sir. All right. The questions have died off. I'm going to let you go. Make sure.
Broke
Thank
the
you for
record.
having me.
Yay. That's no problem.
Record.
Broke the record.
What record?
Record.
Is it? I can't remember.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Was it 2 hours, over 2 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah, well. Tom's a traitor.
Yeah.
Pro Cam tomorrow. I don't think Pro Cam is that big? I don't think so.
He's a grand champion now. He can do what he wants.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a camera store that Carl told me about. I went there to get batteries and ended up with Peak Design bags. Yeah.
Only
That's Pro Cam.
only thing I haven't got, I'm going to get is I don't have the fancy camera strap. I swear to God, I've seen a couple of you guys walking around with these like little red
With a
things
little
hanging
red-
off the side.
yeah.
I'm like, what
Yeah,
is that
this right
red?
here.
sh-" Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are these red shits? And I'm like, that is a specific brand of camera strap. And I'm like, okay. So I had to go look. And I found a company that actually made a camera strap. It looks a lot like a dog lead, like it's just round.
That's
Yeah.
And I kind of liked
So
it.
it's this right here. So you could just snap it out,
Yep.
and that's what it looks like.
Yeah, and that company, I can't remember the name of the company, but that particular camera strap. But this other company makes that round camera strap, and you can use those connectors, but they don't come with it. So you can do, but that kind of makes it modular, right? So you can have a standard strap that goes all the way around your neck, or you can have one like that.
It's different straps, the different sizes. It's the same little hook thing at the end.
Oh, okay. That's where we got your Peak Design bag, Roger. I got you. Yes, I have that one too.
Yeah.
I used that, and then when I decided I was going to take my drone everywhere, it actually didn't fit in there, and I ended up going back to the, whatever brand that is I had. But I kind of bounced.
Low Pro?
Yeah, the Low Pro bag. I got one of those big, it's like a hiking Low Pro bag, so it's like really insulated and hard cased almost.
Yeah.
And it's the one that'll literally, I can put my drone in there, my camera, like you name it, it's a giant bag. But I don't know why I drag all that shit around with me all the time.
You ever bring your drone out, Jim?
Yeah. I did.
To like a show?
It said a live ended. Did it end? Did the live end?
No.
Nope. We're rocking still. I think so.
Okay.
I'm still
because
alive.
I see it on my. I'm on it on my computer too.
Oh, no, we're still good.
Okay.
Georgia Bailey said, "I just told my wife that the camera strap was the last thing."
Yeah, George.
Yep. That's what I do. So what you do? Here's the secret, guys. You go throw some shit in your cart at B&H, and then you just go away for about a week. And you come back, and then you put the one little thing you intended to buy in your cart, and then you just check out. And then you're like, oh, man, I forgot all that shit was in there. I'll wait. Seriously, I'll wait sometimes until Dina has like a giant Amazon cart and like she's buying a bunch of stuff, and I'll just slide something in there. You know, and then she'll just be like, where the hell does drone come from? What did I order this? It works. It works. You know, I probably shouldn't sell this story, but I wanted to embarrass her one time. She has everything delivered to the shop. She's probably going to be in the comments here in a minute and be like, don't say that. So I wanted to mess with her. So she had her big old Amazon cart full, right? Everything she wanted. So I put like a black butt plug in her cart. She didn't pay attention. So she ordered it. So that does a couple of things. Number one, you're unpacking your Amazon cart at my shop in the middle of the day. My employees are there. And she was like, what the hell is this? You know, so that was all the rage because, you know, everybody's like, Dina had a butt plug.
And the best part is they had to explain to her what it was.
Yes. The other part is imagine the products that she was now being offered in all the ads on the internet for a while. It was funny. Yeah. You should try it sometime.
You know, the surprising part of all this is that they sell butt plugs on Amazon.
This surprises you? They'll sell anything on Amazon. George said you're sleeping with the dogs tonight. Oh, that's how you keep it fresh. I've been married 29 years. You just throw a butt plug in the cart every once in a while.
A few laughs. Yeah,
that's right.
Take notes, people.
That's right. That's right. And trust me, I have the longevity key to marriage, at least with Dina. Works.
Yeah. 2 words. Yes, babe.
That's right. Never say no. You never say no. You just, here it is. You can have it. You just figure out how to pay for it. Black couch. He said, that's just as good as the black couch topic at Pierce dinner.
That was a very interesting conversation.
All the guys that That is.
Good. She probably tried to return it. You know, I don't think she did.
It's a doorstop now.
No, I actually think she gave it to one of the employees and he took it home. I don't know. All right. It has been like 2 hours and 15 minutes. We appreciate you guys with the questions. We are signing off now. We will have Jim back, we promise.
Yes.
For another 2 hour session. We may get into photography. We may get into dogs. Who knows? But
who knows?
Definitely have him back. We appreciate you guys tuning in. If you would,
thank you for having me.
Check us out we're on Facebook, the Go Rogue Podcast. We're also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and YouTube, the Go Rogue Podcast. You can find us at any one of those spots. And always, if you would, give us a like, a thumbs up, a share, subscribe, all that stuff, whatever platform you're watching us on or listening to us on. We appreciate you always. All right, guys. Later.
Thanks, Jim. See ya.